The Ford Fiesta is an icon, particularly in Britain, where since its launch in 1976, it's made constant appearances on the UK's top 10 bestsellers list. That is, every year except 2021, ironically the year where it celebrated its 45th anniversary. So to pay tribute to that birthday and to find out why Britain fell so in love with this humble but mighty supermini, we're going to take this lovely original example of a Mk1 Fiesta Popular for a drive. But first, our friends at Lancaster Insurance are running monthly giveaways. You can win all sorts, from experience days to tools, restaurant vouchers and tech. So check the video description for full details and to enter. By the early 1970s, Ford was dominant in the UK market. The Mark II Escort continued the success of its predecessor despite the fact it was really little more than a facelift, and the Cortina was going great guns. Ford, however, wanted to tap into a smaller, cheaper side of the market, the new fledgling supermini class. In 1972, Henry Ford II signed off on Project Bobcat, the idea of the smallest, cheapest Ford in the range. Ford had big ambitions for the new car, so much so that they built a whole new factory in Valencia in Spain just to build this new car. They were predicting 500,000 sales a year, no less. But to be that successful, you've got to be up to date, and rear-wheel drive was very slowly becoming a bit old hat. So Ford looked towards the transverse engine setup popularised by the Fiat 127 and decided to do the same. They essentially took the overhead valve Kent engine that they already produced, turned it widthways and shortened the block slightly to fit a new gearbox on it. The result was the Valencia engine, named after the factory that the new car, which was now going to be dubbed the Fiesta, would be built in. And Fiat's involvement actually goes even further than that. The earliest prototypes of the Valencia engine were actually tested in Fiat 127 test mules. But he didn't know that. The rest of the mechanicals were resolutely simple. McPherson strut suspension at the front, beam axle at the rear, small front disc brakes and drums at the back. Now none of that is particularly advanced or exciting by even 1970s standards, but Ford had a plan. Keep it simple and keep it cheap and easy to maintain and repair. In fact, in early Fiesta advertising, Ford were quite happy to publish the amount of time taken to change and rebuild certain mechanical components. And it worked. A lot of small backstreet garages that were more used to working on traditional rear-wheel drive cars could quickly and easily get to grips with the Fiesta and rebuild bits on its less common front-wheel drive setup. Cheap and simple, much like the car itself. But how does that simple suspension translate to the road? Well, the Fiesta is not the most refined or comfortable of small cars. It's very bouncy, it's quite rough, and nor is it the most composed through the corners. It's quite rolly, and you feel like you'd reach the end of grip fairly quickly if you start pushing on hard. That said, it does feel light, it does feel nimble, and that little engine does feel keen to pull. It's smooth. Get it going a bit, and even a little 1 litre Fiesta like this really can cross little winding roads surprisingly quickly. Not the most refined, but good fun. And considering this is one of Ford's first forays into front-wheel drive, the gear change is surprisingly nice as well. It's quite a short throw, it's snicky, it's direct, and it's easy to find which gear you want. I'm impressed. The Fiesta was and is good fun, especially considering that it was pitched as a cheap shopping trolley. Indeed, starting at just £1,700, the Fiesta was noticeably cheaper than the Vauxhall Chevette or the Renault 5. And it was only a little bit more expensive than the Fiat 127 that unknowingly helped contribute to its birth. And it's worth noting the 127 was getting on a bit by the time the Fiesta came out, and the Fiesta was an instant hit. By the end of its first year in production, it was Britain's 9th best-selling car. By 1981, it was Britain's 3rd best-selling, and in just 3 years, they sold 1 million Fiestas. It was unstoppable. The Fiesta might not have been the first or the best supermini, but it did exactly what it needed to at exactly the right time. It was cheap to buy, it was easy to maintain and repair, it had Ford's ever eclectic range of trim levels from base right the way up to the plush Ghia, and it did it all with a familiar Ford badge on it that was already extremely popular in Britain. Now later down the line, of course, the more comfortable Austin Metro and arguably more well-rounded Peugeot 205 stole some sales from the Fiesta, but Ford fought back with ever more added appeal. The Super Sport and later the XR2 hot version broadened the Fiesta's appeal, and the improvement continued in the Mark II and Mark III versions. By the Mark IV, the Fiesta was topping Britain's best-selling car list, and there it sat pretty much every year up until 2020. Ford started with a good base and just got better and better and more refined with the Fiesta. You could argue it's never been the best in its class, but it's always been where it needed to be and how it needed to be. By being the right car at the right time and offering enough variants and models to suit pretty much everyone, the Fiesta won hearts and continues to do so today. Ford has sold over 16 million Fiestas since 1976, and we hope that its success continues. Thanks for everything, Fiesta. Long may you continue to be, well,